This is the plaintiff, Ngazi Anwamari. She says she hired the defendant to put faux locks in her head, and the woman clearly didn't know what she was doing because the locks she used were too heavy, and she now has terrible neck pain. The defendant refused to listen to her or work with her, and she's had to get the hair removed. The defendant won't give her a refund for the shoddy work she did, and she's here suing her in this court for the $350 she's owed. This is the defendant, Victory. She says she's been braiding hair since high school, and she knows what she's doing, thank you very much. She told the woman the locks she purchased were going to be a little heavy, but that's what the woman wanted. So who is she to tell her not to choose that hairstyle? Bottom line, she did an outstanding job. She would have been willing to work with the plaintiff to remedy the situation, but she became nasty and sued her. So now, no way. She's accused of a bad hair job. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $350 for defamation and wasting her time.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that she hired the defendant to attach dreadlocks to her hair, says the hair was actually too heavy, and as a result, she now has horrible neck pain. But the defendant says the plaintiff purchased her own dreadlocks. She told her that they were going to be heavy, but she wanted them installed anyway, and here they are. It's the case of, I dread this neck pain.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Anwamir, you are suing Ms. Victory and her company to return $350 that you paid for a hairstyle that you feel she negligently did, and you are suing her for $350 for defamation and wasting your time. All right, let me hear from you first, Ms. Anwamir. What happened here?
So I went to go get my hair done. The style was $350. I was given the hair, so she bought the hair, she installed it. When I was there, I noticed.
Who buys the hair? You buy the hair or she buys the hair?
So she bought the hair. It was included with the style.
Okay, and did you tell her which hair to buy or you didn't tell her which hair to buy? Okay, go on.
No.
So do you send her a picture of the hairstyle you want?
So I choose the style.
That's on her website?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and do we have a picture of the style that you chose?
Yes.
So go on.
So it's called textured locks.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah. So I chose that style. I get there, we're kind of talking. We're actually having a good time. Talking to her about different things. And before that, I remember paying a deposit like on the 16th. And then that morning she texts me and she's like, hey, the rest of your style is going to need to be paid in cash. And so I get there. She's every time she does a lock, she's like, is this good? Is this good? And I'm like, yeah, it feels okay. And then when we get to the end of the style, I'm like, this is really heavy. This is really heavy. And she's like, do you want me to put it half up, half down? And I'm like, no, I don't want to have to wear my hair half up, half down the whole time just because it's heavy. So I end up leaving because we're in her house.
How long does this process take?
So on her website, it said 4 hours. I can't recall how long it took, but it took some hours.
Do you recall how long it took, Ms. Victory?
Yes, it took about 6 or 7 hours.
Okay. Why did it take so long?
Well, she got them 24 inches, so they were much longer than if it would have been shoulder length, it probably would have been like 4 hours.
Okay. So she's doing the locks and showing you the size, asking you at the beginning of this either 4 or 6 or 7 hour journey, is this okay? Is this okay? And do you ever tell her, no, that looks too fat? No, that looks like it's going to be too heavy?
We did at one point discuss the size, and I was like, oh, redid it. And she was like, I was like, oh yeah, the size, but I don't have a problem with the size. My main concern was the heaviness of it, which I did say before I left. And that's when she mentioned, should she style it half up, half down? And I told her I don't want to wear my hair half up, half down the whole time.
Okay, so what do? You leave, and then when do you reach out to her?
So I left. This was on a Friday. I reached out to her on a Monday over the weekend because I could not sleep, and the locks were essentially pulling on my scalp between. Because what had happened is she put 2 locks together, so those 2 locks were essentially pulling from different directions into one lock that she created. So after the weekend, I really I tried to give it some time to see if my neck would get used to the heaviness, but I just realized over the weekend that it just was not getting used to it. And on Monday, I reached out to my cousin that typically does my hair, and she was like, "Whoa, that's a lot of hair, and it seems very heavy." And she was like, "Yeah, you need to take that out." So I decided to take it out on that Monday. The process to take it out was even pretty long, and a lot of the
Who took it
locks and the
out?
hair. I ended up taking it out, and there's also evidence of that as well.
So the picture on the left is you,
Correct.
and the
Yeah.
picture on the right is your desired look.
Yes.
And then this is a picture of what?
So that's a picture of me getting it redone after the 21st. The stylist that I ended up reaching out to, showing her that
That's
it
your
was pulling on
cousin.
my hair. Correct.
Right, okay.
My cousin. So she ended up doing it again, which she's my typical stylist anyway. She ended up doing it again, and that's the end result. And then that's the amount of hair that was taken out from my hair, from the style. And then there's also a video of me taking it out as well. So that was the weight of the style.
I ended up getting locks, and they are so heavy. Look, literally. You hear that? Like hitting me? It's that heavy. Like literally. Cute, but I gotta take them out because they're literally so heavy. You hear that? Literally.
You reach out to her the following Monday, is it? And text her that you would like to take it out. And what is your request at that point? Will you take it out free of charge? Right?
Yeah, so I asked, would she take it out free of charge or would she discount? Because I know that she spent her time to do it. So it's just a matter of, I'm not asking for a full refund at that time. I'm just asking for you to work with me. I
Right.
wasn't able to wear the hair more than 3 days. And for me, it doesn't make sense to pay $350 for a style that I couldn't keep in. And one of her promises on her website was that it was tension free and lightweight. So I didn't get tension free or lightweight.
Okay. Let me hear from you, Ms. Victory.
Initially, when she came and got her hair done, she's explaining to me how she wanted the texture locks to be a little bigger, I'm guessing, as far as the parts. So initially when I started, because I wanted to do them one by one, like one by one of her locks, so they can be smaller, and they probably would have been more comfortable on her head. But she wanted them a little thicker. So at first I put 3 locks together. That was too much. So I ended up putting 2 together. And I was asking her, because I was telling her that it was going to be heavy because her locks were thick and she was getting them 24 inches, so they are pretty long, so that adds more weight. I did like the first back rows, and I was asking her, like, is this a good size? You know, is it good on your head? Because I knew it was going to be heavy because we used like 8 bags of hair. And then from there, I just was doing her hair. And then when she got done, she looked in the mirror. She said it was a lot, and I was like, yeah. That's why I was asking you as I was doing it, like, was it okay? Because like it's a lot of hair. Her locks are thick. They actually look pretty smaller now. They look nice.
So why didn't you do it that way? Why didn't you just do it one by one instead of 2 by 2?
She didn't want it. She didn't
She
want it
wanted
like
the
that.
thicker.
Yes.
As it turns out, then she changed her mind. She didn't like the thicker. It was too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do it one by one, wouldn't it be just as heavy?
They probably would have been a little fuller. I mean, they're going to be heavy regardless because it's lock hair and they're really long. But usually my clients, they get used to it. But she wanted them thicker. So yeah.
All
They
right.
was
And
gonna be
that, so
heavy
is she
regardless.
right that then it was pulling 2 of them in order to make the one? So
Yes, I twisted 2 of her locks together
Right.
and then wrapped it to make the lock.
So she texts you, and let's see the text she sends. What day does she do the hair?
On the 18th.
And then on Monday the 21st, she texts you, unfortunately, my hair is extremely heavy and causing me to have neck pain. I can't keep it in. This in mind, it hasn't even been 3 days since the install. Would you be willing to refund a portion or remove the hair for free? She texts you at 4:18 on Monday, and on Tuesday at 8:23, when she has not heard from you, she writes, a response would have been the decent thing to do. This in mind, $350 isn't worth ruining your business name reputation. Got the hair removed. This is very bad business. Do unto others as you want done to yourself, God bless. Did you ever respond to her?
I did.
And then where are those texts? Do you have those? Because she didn't give them to me.
I sent those in.
Okay, give me a moment. Good morning. I was very busy yesterday and didn't see your message. I do apologize. I would have been happy to take the locks down for free. As far as the locks, I apologize if they were stiff and too heavy for you. I did explain that they would be thick and maybe stiff because of your natural locks. See, here's the thing. You know, this isn't somebody cuts your hair and boom, they botch it, and it all happens in a second, and then there's no way back. We have a situation where, what time does she get there, Ms. Victory?
I don't know, maybe like 8:30 or 9 in the morning,
And what time does she leave?
like 4:30.
Right. It's an all-day affair when you do this. And she, according to your own testimony, she's asking you, how is this? Is this okay? Is this okay? So the job she did is the job you wanted. You never said, no, that's not okay. Stop. This is too much. This is that. The problem is that the job you asked her to do ended up feeling too heavy for you. And then on Monday you text her, and yes, it would be the good business sense thing to do to say, hey, come here, I'll take them out of you for free, or whatever it is that she would want to say. But does she have a legal obligation to do something? She has a legal obligation only if she did something wrong. And in this case, in this specific hairdo, it's a 8-hour event where she's asking, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this how you want it? And you're like, yeah, that's how I want it. And then in the end you say, oh, you know what? I picked the hairstyle. It's just too heavy. But the strange part is that you're very impatient. Like, you assume that because you read your text and you live with your phone as an attachment to your hand, that everybody else does too. Maybe she actually didn't see it. You have a counterclaim against her for $350. Why?
Really just because, like, I would have been willing to work with her, actually.
Wait a
Because I
second.
do
That's the
understand you
best
got your
answer.
hair done.
Hold on one second. I want to hold on to that. Well, just because. Just because. What do you mean?
Welcome back to the People's Court. The question, did the defendant screw up the hair job, or did the defendant just do what the plaintiff wanted? Let's go back into the courtroom and find out.
I would have been very much willing to work with her if she would have responded, because I do understand you spent $350. You only had the hair for 3 days, and I do understand that it was heavy. So I would have gladly gave her some type of refund, but she never said anything back.
When she sends, oh my gosh, I didn't see it, I would have, taken them out for free. Why wouldn't you then, I'm just curious, say to her,
Judge,
go ahead.
I was going to say, this is actually the first time I'm seeing that. After that message, I actually blocked her because I didn't want any
Because you were so
other
upset.
conflict.
Okay.
No, because I didn't want any
Well,
other
look at that. At
conflict.
8:33, not 10 minutes after
No.
your second message, she says, oh my gosh.
No.
Wait, let me read it again. Good morning, exclamation point. I was very busy yesterday and didn't see your message, exclamation point. I do apologize. I would have been happy to take the locks down for free. Like, this is an entree to continue discussion. But if you block her, you're not going to know that she sent you a text 10 minutes after your second text, right? Yeah. All right, on your counterclaim, 0. However, Ms. Anwamir, on your claim against her, I'm also going to rule 0. Because this is something that I think you just had buyer's remorse on. This is a style you picked. This is a style you saw happening that took 6 hours to do. So you see as it's going along just how thick it's going to be. And at no point do you say, stop, this is too thick. It's just after you wear the style you picked and you say, yeah, okay, let's go. And you leave, and then you think you'll get used to it, and then you don't get used to it, that you have the buyer's remorse. That doesn't mean she breached the contract. I'm ruling in favor of the defendant on your claim against her. On your counterclaim, 0, because just because is not a reason to sue someone.
So the defendant prevails in this lawsuit. The plaintiff does not get her money back. Ms. Anwamir, let me ask you how you feel about the judge's decision here. You're not getting money back,
Yeah, it's fine. It was just a matter of the principle. Like, had I known she responded, I would have been totally fine and saved some of my time.
What about the hairstyle? Did you like the look of it? We know it was too heavy for you and your head hurt, but did you like the look? You picked the look out, from her catalog. What about that?
That was never something that I was coming to contest. It was more so the heaviness and the lack of ability to wear it due to the heaviness, and her company basically saying that it would be lightweight and tension-free.
Okay. And what are you wearing right now? Is that a style, or is that your natural hair, or what?
This is my natural hair.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right. Well, a lot lighter than the other. No question about that. All right. Let's talk to Victory. Victory, does this happen very often when you put that much work into a job, the customer's not satisfied with it?
No, not very often, but I do get, a couple bad apples, I say.
All right. Well, obviously she was not happy, and what can I tell you? You know, you're okay. You don't have to give her the money back, and you didn't win your countersuit. Just for the fact.
Look, I wish I would have gave a better reason so I could have got some countersuing.
All right. Well, listen, congratulations. Thank you very much.
So, Doug, here's the thing. You may have regrets about what you got and what you paid for, but once the deal is done and the job is done properly, buyer's remorse doesn't cut it.
My sister lives in her apartment for more than 35 years. She lives on disability. The building was sold about 3 years ago, and ever since they've been raising the rent. In 2021, she was paying $765, and it went up to $1,250. They fix nothing and harass her. They want her out so they can charge someone new more. What can she do?
Well, I'm sorry that she happens to be on a fixed income and on disability, but the judge or the jury is supposed to dispense justice without fear, without prejudice, and without sympathy. So it has to do with the contract between her and her landlord. And
her lease and
she
her
is honoring
legal
it,
rights
whether
as
he
a
is
tenant.
exactly,
Right.
and that's it. So
if you're on a month-to-month tenancy, then you have the right to have the notice that your state requires on a month-to-month tenancy.
might
If
be
you're on
30
a
days.
lease, then you have the right to have the notice that the lease says. In other words, if you rent for $765 for 1 year on a lease, you can't expect that it's going to be $765 the next year, because unless it's rent controlled and they're violating some rent control, law.
or they've raised it beyond the amount that you're legally entitled to raise it. Some states control.
If there's a state that limits the amount you can legally raise it.
Right. Or if the landlord's really breaching the lease by not fixing stuff that should have been fixed.
Well, that's a totally different issue. If they're not fixing stuff, then you can withhold rent until they fix it. But that's not going to let you stick around. It's not going to keep you there at the rent you want to pay, which is really what you're questioning.
It gives you a remedy, just not the one you want.
Right.